We good over there, Nico? We good over here?
Live? We're live?
We live, baby.
Jay, and welcome to the Gated Gates podcast. Again, we're lucky that you guys are back with us another week. We're glad to be back. And let me say first, let's acknowledge the forces in the non-material, particularly all the ancestors that are standing behind this great work. Particularly Nebnapala Musa Moradinabig for the way he opened up the work to the rest of the world and really standing on his back in terms of this work. And all the other great ancestors that are standing behind this great work in the non-material, all of our ancestors, your ancestors, for bringing us together even through the virtual. And all the forces of nature that are standing behind this great work, the deities and all the genies and all the powers of nature that are standing behind all of this. And yeah, so we're still on the theme of healing, right? Mm-hmm. And I was sitting and I was kind of thinking about my journey. And I was thinking about...
Where'd you go?
Huh?
Where'd you go?
No, I didn't go anywhere. I was just thinking about my journey in general, right? And I grew up in the States, right? I'm African, but I grew up in the States. And I was thinking about niggas.
Here we go.
Nigga.
Here we go.
Nigga.
I was thinking about like niggas, and I was thinking about like, man, like how it almost becomes like a religion.
Nigga?
And like, huh?
Nigga?
Like just niggas. Niggas function in a kind of religious way. Like they almost have like their own religion, right? And I was saying to myself, I'm like, it's so interesting because you just see it so clearly and evidently, like when you gotta go back wherever it is, or when you're around a bunch of niggas, right? And then you got to code switch. And then like, let's say you do something that's considered outside of the religious
Niggadom.
aspects of niggerdom, right? And then they'll just be like, what is that? And they'll be like, how? Or they'll be like, what's going on with you? Or they might try and clown you, or they might try and like, understand it and be like, bro, what's going on? Like, what kind of shit are you on? What type of time are you on? And then I'm sitting there and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I was like, that's almost like a state that you can find yourself in, that you have to work out of in terms of being on a healing journey. Is because it's not very cool to be on a healing journey and be a nigga. Like
a healthy nigga is a
like niggas don't want to be around healthy niggas.
Yeah.
So I figured three of us let's talk about
three niggas. three niggas talking about niggas. Okay.
Who better to talk about it?
Can we coin the word niggatism?
Niggatism?
Yeah, niggatism.
Niggatisms.
What's niggatism?
Niggatism is what he's describing. The aspect of being a nigga. Niggatism. Is niggatismic?
Niggatismic?
Yeah.
Okay, let's not go too far off topic here. But so like I was thinking about it, right? And because I was talking to one of my friends the other day, a black dude, so like he's a nigga, right? But I think we need to kind of differentiate what we're kind of talking about, because some people might
take it the wrong way.
Some people might take it the wrong way and then be like, but what do you mean he's a black guy but he's a nigga? Like when we say now I gotta think about who we're explaining this to, or who could be listening to this, or who will be listening to this at some point or another. So when we're talking about niggas, we're talking about a specific culture, right? We're talking about a specific aspect of black culture in which we're speaking on people that are either coming from the hood or are hood adjacent. Shout out to Medicata. Or
she grew up in the suburbs, but she wants to be a nigga.
Yeah, she
grew up in a suburb that was close enough to the hood for her to think she was a nigga.
Yeah, like she's like, yeah, she calls herself hood adjacent, right?
Okay.
So
she's a follower of niggatism.
Yes.
Okay.
Practitioner.
She's a practitioner.
She's a practitioner of the the niggaisms, Sufisms of niggaisms. So basically you have like and I don't mean this in like the like, you know how like racist white people will be like, there's black people and then there's niggers. Like we're not talking about it in that kind of way. We're talking about like how there's like a specific code out there that black dudes adopt, and in which we all kind of understand, and then we just all kind of live by, and you have to adopt in order to be accepted in social settings and within the community of being around a bunch of niggas. Like if you're on the block and you come through talking about healing or talking about, knowledge of self, or certain things, you automatically get a certain classification that they will put you in, that they either will kind of just like, oh man, this nigga's around here just trying to kick knowledge.
This nigga's a preaching ass
This nigga, preaching ass nigga.
Preaching head ass nigga.
Like, just, there's so many different ways niggas will look at you if you're on that kind of path of healing, right? And it gets kind of tiring after a while when you're when you're a part of the religion of niggas, because I think we have a title to the show, The Religion of Niggas.
It's already written.
It's set in stone.
and they, you know, like when you almost go against the congregation of the religion, you get classified in certain ways where, like, either people don't want to associate certain activities with you. They might engage in certain illegal activities. They might engage in certain avant-garde activities outside of the legal, you know, normalized avenues, which is normal and quite frankly real or honest, living in a very dishonest, you know, unethical society that we live in, which is rooted in colonialism. Then it seems like the only way you should be going is in an illegal sense, because this land was illegally stolen from other people to begin with, right? But we could go on and on. So they're kind of some of the more honest individuals that you find within America.
Exactly.
In terms of the way that they do things and in terms of the way that they go about things. But they do seem very kind of stuck and unwilling to adapt outside of the nigga religion that has been adopted in the hood, in all communities within America. I don't say worldwide, because I don't know how.
I mean, I would go as far as to say worldwide.
I would
I don't
too.
know. How do y'all been to like Croatia? Y'all know a bunch of
But,
niggas
like,
from Croatia?
Nah.
Prime example, right? I feel like UK niggerdom is in its moment of starship right
is
now.
it?
Like Skepta, like I'm saying, bro, like once Skepta kind of like took off.
Have y'all seen Top Boy?
Yeah, right. Right.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Exactly. It's like The Wire for the UK.
I mean, I'm not disputing it. I wasn't gonna say the world, because I don't know about any other nigga communities outside of the U.S. and the UK.
Well, here's the thing, right? It's interesting because the U.S. is kind of like the centerpiece of status in the world. So everything that comes out of the U.S. tends to kind of like expand, or kind of like a cancer, so would you say, and kind of like gravitates to all the other parts of the world. And I've kind of noticed that in a lot of other cultures, you see people start to like mimic niggertry, or mimic the kind of behavior that we would, you know, consider to be behavior coming from the hood.
Right.
Really, because that's even promoted through the American media. So that in itself is now being used as like a tool to kind of like, dare I say, destroy certain populations or demographics of people in certain communities around the world.
Of course.
So,
I mean, have you guys seen the movie They Clone Tyrone?
Yeah.
it's friggin' great.
It's so good. It's so good because it just kind of exemplifies the way the religion of niggas, or the nigga religion, has been proliferated throughout America. Man, why are you looking at us?
She's like, wait, what are we talking about?
He's like,
in,
what? He's like, what kind of what
Nigga
are you guys? What
religion.
kind of show are you
Niggadom.
guys talking about? Well, this is perfect because, you know, this show is for this episode's for the niggas.
For my niggas.
Like, this episode is for anyone that needs a starter pack and a kind of like a map, or like a tour guide, or like a legend to navigate out of the religion of being a nigga. to try and, you know, kind of free themselves from the trappings of the religious nigga-isms. So there's no way to kind of put this like, in a way that doesn't sound in a light way. Yeah. So the interesting thing is you see it in the movie They Clone Tyrone, where they are able to see like how they just clone certain archetypes of niggas. And then they insert them into certain communities. And then that's the way the nigga religion is self-perpetuated. Is in these types of archetypes within the community. Right. And it almost becomes self-governed and self-perpetuated, because then they even start putting in like certain people that look like they could be black or black passing, and then they're there kind of like upper management, upper levels of the nigga community.
Right. The light skin motherfucker with the
light
afro.
skin, yeah, the light skin guy with the afro, but he's not black, he's white.
Right.
But he's just very black passing, and he has an afro. What? So, oh yeah, we're going there tonight.
Ding.
This is one of those episodes. Like, now we have to take into consideration or into account the people that, no matter how much you've changed or you've adapted in your life, that when you see them, when you go back to where you grew up or where you're coming from, it just is like you gotta go back into the nigga-isms, and you gotta go back to basics, and then just be on some nigga shit.
Because otherwise, it's like you're not even a part of the conversation. You're not speaking English if you're not speaking nigga to a nigga, and it really is crazy. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. It's like, yeah, man. It really is one of the craziest phenomenons, because when you do go back, you swear that you're going back with like a positive outlook on life, and you know, you're ready to kind of like take things to people, and maybe I got the right words to say, and then you start talking, and like maybe they like nod their head for the first few minutes, and then you'll start to realize like a fall off.
No, just an energy shift.
Yeah.
There's like an energy shift at some point or another. There's an energy shift where they're like, and maybe they don't, you know, the facial expression doesn't give it away, but you could feel the energy shift after a certain point in time where they just start tuning you out, and then they're like,
niggas still talking about this shit.
Yeah, I need to roll up a blunt.
Funny story, right? I had a lot of these moments, like growing up, because I was always that one nigga in the hood that was like the nigga that was always talking some shit. So the other niggas would be like, well, you know, we just want to smoke. But then I'm there smoking, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, bro, y'all don't realize that outside in space is like water? Like existence is like
as above, so below.
As above, so below. Motherfucker, y'all don't realize that? And they just there like, what you talking about? I'm like, bro, y'all don't realize the Bible is lying? And then niggas start talking like, bro, we just want to watch rap games, battle rap, and you know, we just want to roll the weed. Like, nobody would ever want to hear none of that shit. And it made me realize that not only am I an outcast, but really in society, in reality, niggas is outcast. Because we don't really want to deal with anything real outside of what's involved in our small little circles. Like outside of our own little comforts. And that bothered me for a little bit.
Well, the interesting thing is like now we're tasked with trying to break down and understand that phenomenon.
Yeah.
Like where, because I was thinking about it, and then I was thinking about why some people kind of struggle, even in this. And then I started thinking about it, and I was like, it's because people don't realize that every state is a part of the journey. So like for a lot of black people, the nigga religion is the first state that you have to break out of.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you don't break out of the first state of the nigga religion, then you're not going to be able to continue the path of healing and kind of decolonizing yourself. Because I mean, healing is just another word for saying decolonization, right? In another way. And what you have is you have people that are kind of locked in their states, like the nigga religion state, and then they're like, well, you know, I don't understand why I have to kind of break out of this, or why are you trying to break out of your current state, which is why they kind of look at you funny or take to you kind of strangely, because they're looking at you like, what's wrong with what we're doing now, and what's wrong with just being like Fred that's been on the block for 40 years and like
ain't go nowhere, no passport,
no passport, never gonna do anything. What's wrong with me just being Fred in 20 years, 40 years? And they don't understand that they're locked in a state. And I realize that the problem we're dealing with because this episode is for the niggas, but it doesn't only apply to niggas.
it's deeper than that.
It's deeper than that.
Exactly.
We sound like
I mean, it's one of those kind of episodes, man. Because there's no other word to use for it.
no other way to put it.
There's no other way to put it.
So, I know I saw that. Ujjayi to everybody tuning in. Ujjayi, everybody that's listening. Ujjayi to Warriors Ubukande, Patricia Banks, DeMarcus, Red Ma'at on Instagram. Ujjayi to Nico, Terry Shot. Everyone that's tuning in. I know there's a lot of other people tuned in, but you know, just shout out to the people that have identified themselves and have said Ujjayi. Welcome to the nigga episode, if you're just tuning in. But
What you were saying made me think of a person though. Like, it's one of my boys, and he's from Sudan actually.
oh really?
His family's from Sudan, and he visits regularly. So when he comes back, he's a nigga. Like, when I say, like, for real, like, I wouldn't.
What's his name?
I probably wouldn't. His name is Steve.
Oh,
Ain't he the guy that stole
he's gone.
the
Steve's-
money?
No.
Why are you trying to put that on
what are you
Sudanese people,
doing?
huh?
Nah.
What is wrong with you, nigga?
Yeah, why are you trying to put...
Steve ain't watching this, bro.
Oh, Red Ma'at said she's Sudanese. Shout out to Red Ma'at. I'm
Shout out
Sudanese.
to Red Mike.
Yeah, shout out to Steve,
Oh,
too.
wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, Steve is like a hood
Got me
nigga.
excited.
For real.
Right,
Like,
huh?
he's not like a normal dude. It's weird. I can't really explain it. I might ask Steve to come on the show because it's hilarious.
Ask Steve to come through.
Because he has the like nigga thing down pat. But at the same time, you can see that there was at some point
Something else.
he got exposed to like his real family, real shit.
Roots.
And it was like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, this is what I came from, but this is really what I come from. And then bridging the gap between the two is like it's just one step in because now once Steve really started to come back to the States and try to expose people here to what's going on there, it was almost like his whole thing shifted. And now he's like drinking kombucha and trying to be healthy, but like still a hood nigga. Like, it'll be kombucha and then like some weed.
Yeah.
Like, I watch his story and be like kombucha, weed, Sudan, like the block with the homies, kombucha, Sudan, block with the homies, weed.
So are you saying it's like a weird reality where he can't choose?
Nah, I think he's conscious of the fact that he doesn't have to necessarily abandon that, like how we say, like the cradle of birth. Like, he's a nigga, he knows it though, but he's not about to be like, oh well, I'm Sudanese, so I can't act like that. Like, I can't be like that. I can't have that as any part of me, because then that would be like completely dishonest for him, and just like he would be trying to be something that he's not really. So I feel like he has a good understanding of the two and knows how to bridge the gap between the two. But you can see that it's like a stepping stone. He sees it as a stepping stone to like, okay, I have all of these parts of me. What's next?
So then that leads me to think that with niggas, right? If you just a nigga, like he is lucky enough or fortunate enough to know where he comes from, right?
Right.
But most niggas don't.
Exactly.
True.
So then the question then becomes, how do you get a nigga who don't know to see that he needs to know?
Well, niggas don't think they need to know. That's the
big problem.
That's a big problem.
Is niggas think that like, oh yeah, I'm from 125th in Amsterdam, and then he'd be like, oh, you're from Amsterdam, like Holland? Like, no, nigga, I'm from Harlem. And you like they'll be serious about it too. Like, nah, I ain't never been past 96th Street.
Right.
I don't never go past 96th Street because there's no reason for me to go past 96th Street. But then it becomes like a badge of honor in the religion of being a nigga. And this is the thing, is like, because the black culture is so copied and exalted in so many different avenues and so many different aspects, that people are sitting there and they're saying to themselves, like, you know, I genuinely love black culture, and people want to be a part of black culture,
Whatever that is, or whatever that means.
yeah, whatever that is, right? Like, they want to be niggas. Like, whether everyone want, like Paul Mooney said, everybody want to be a nigga, but nobody want to be a nigga.
Exactly.
And that's the thing, is that you have so many people that kind of glorify the culture of, or the religion of niggas, and they want to be niggas, and then it becomes a part of their identity to such a point where they're like, you know what, like, I'm not going to let go of this, or I refuse to let go of this. So I think the first step, and that's why I wanted to talk about this, I think the first step is, how do you get niggas to break out of that nigga religion? Can you get niggas to break out of that nigga religion unless they want to break out? Otherwise,
No. I say no, 100%, 145,000%, because it's not feasible. It just it doesn't even seem real. Like, I can say it because when I was there, and like, I grew up kind of like being like Kaja Zalima would say, almost like the black sheep in a sense. Like, I'm bringing up the stuff that don't nobody really want to talk about, you know, all this kind of stuff. And I remember one time, I'll never forget this. Rest in peace to D-Lo. He was a guy that used to live in the area, and he was like really in it, you know, going back and forth, shootouts, all this kind of stuff, all types of crazy shit. And he ended up getting shot. Just a few months before that, I was visiting my mom one day, and he was up the street, so I just went up there, you know, say what's up, be in a nigga environment for a few minutes, kind of feel that for a minute.
Back to the,
exactly.
Do the revert back to the nigga, the nigga religion real fast.
So I'm talking to him, and I don't know how the conversation got so deep, but for a second, he kind of told me that, like, you know, Kaz, that's what they call me, Kaz, you always been different. And I was like, well, it sort of seems like nobody really ever cared for what made me different. But what is that about? Because I don't get it, because it's me. I don't get it. Why doesn't anybody else care for those things? If you know that I'm here and I care about those things, but I can still be like with y'all too, why doesn't anybody else care for those things? And he was like, really, like, when you leave, niggas will have conversations about you and be like, Kaz just one way, and I don't get it. And he was honest with me.
Yeah, he was honest. It was the first time,
bro.
It was the first time niggas that are abiding by the nigga religion admit, like, nigga,
Bruh.
why is that nigga different?
Yo, for real. He broke it down to me. He was like,
man.
cause you know you just one way. And that's the way that people think of you. Like, you're something else.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bruh, but I lived out in the street.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here in this with you.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about when you say what you say, and you know what I'm talking about when I say what I say.
Yeah.
The code is the same, but somehow I'm not the same as you. Like, what is that? And he was like, honestly, I really can't explain it to you. And at that moment, I kind of realized, like, damn, I don't think I'll ever be able to get past whatever that is with my own efforts. Like, he'll have to get there on his own.
It'll be on him to do that.
It's his own, like, you know, because it was my own, you know, volition that got me to a point where it was like, all right, I did a little research on the Illuminati one day, and it's more than, you know, the music business. Because they have an understanding at least of, like, okay, Jay-Z, you know, all of these big names, Kanye, blah, blah, blah. They understand that all of them are so far into an industry that there's bosses there too. There's gangs there too. There's politics and all that stuff inside of that too. So they know once you get to a certain level, it's somebody you're gonna have to answer to. And then that becomes like its own little devious, secretive thing, the same way that it is in the streets. But beyond that, it's like it doesn't really have any implication on them and how they need to change their lives and like do something different. They still even want it because of what it comes with. So it's like this catch-22 that you can't really get past with like somebody else's words. And I was just like, all right. I mean, I appreciate it though. Real talk, that was like one of the last times that I talked to him before he died. And I was like, man, as soon as I heard he died, I was like, damn, that's one person that I know for sure. He actually at least had the honesty to tell me, like, as niggas, we don't know what's beyond this, and we don't even know how to get there. That shit shook my world, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
Like, you know how, like, at a specific point in time, like, globally, like, people in the world, maybe not everybody, but there was, like, a big faction of the world that thought that, like, the world was flat, and how, like, you couldn't go past a certain point or you would fall off, or like the mythology of like or the myths or the legends of like there be dragons, like you can't go in over there because there's dragons over there,
or sea monsters.
That's kind of the way that the nigga culture functions. Like, that's the way the religion of niggas goes, because you function in a way where anything outside of what is considered like the model, or what's considered acceptable within that culture, you're like, nah, like, I can't get behind that. I can't be that, because I'll get outcasted from the religion.
Exactly.
I'll get outcasted from the community. Exactly. Where it becomes like a very strange championing of the culture in a way where you're like, I don't even know where this culture came from, but I'm in it. And anything that comes to be different from it, I just have to ridicule it, and I have to somehow trivialize it, and I have to make sure I don't allow it to continue or baraka, or it's like I have to do all these things where it's like baraka in order to allow it to continue, in order to allow it to flourish, and for me to be truly a part of the nigga religion. This is what I must do in order to protect it.
And it's really a sickness. Like, when you really, because everything you're saying is just describing, to me, again, it's like goes back to that Stockholm syndrome situation. Because you're dealing with now a group of people who are basically put in a box, and then they're taught to be this specific kind of way, and then now they're not even able to see beyond that box, because anything outside of that box is now sort of like taboo, right? Now, to me, that breeds insecurities. Like, it's the same reason why you can see black people see white people dressed in kente cloth and get upset, but then they themselves will never wear kente cloth.
Exactly.
Because they know.
And they'll clown you.
They will clown you for it.
If you're a black person, they'll clown you for wearing kente cloth.
Right.
But then they'll be like, yo, y'all see that white person wearing kente cloth? Who the fuck she thinks she is? Because
they know deep down they want to wear it, but they can't because they feel insecure about wearing it.
Exactly.
So it becomes insecurity. So now they put the pride on not wearing it because they feel like they know they can't because they feel they can't. So they put a pride on not wearing it. So now they champion it to the point where they're actually disrespecting it and disrespecting everything about what they know because they know they should know more. It's like, it's crazy. And to go back to like healing, the way I would answer your initial question is like, do I think that people can actually get out of that? Like niggas can get out of the religion of niggadom? I think they can, but I think it takes a certain level.
Possible.
Yeah, it's very possible.
I think we're all testaments to the possibility.
Right.
Yeah.
It becomes like if they want to, right?
Yeah, you're gonna have to want to because it's just gonna take exposure. And that's why I think it's so key, not even key, it's so genius in the way the system puts the blocks, right? Because even the wording of it, like blocks.
The block, yeah.
They're blocking you into something, right? Even like a building, like you're staying in it, but it's building, but it's already built. You get what I'm saying? Like there's certain ways that they're using certain kind of
language
on you. To kind of like get you in a certain psyche.
Right.
So it's kind of like they're putting you in a trap in which it's almost impossible for you to escape. And then they make it difficult where you can't even go anywhere to even experience new things because now you need a passport, you need a license, you need all these different things to travel and go places. So who the hell wants to deal with all of that? Most people don't, because if you can have easy access to everything that you think you need in your small block, in your small little building or like your little community, then you're not gonna go anywhere.
Yeah, when I went to go get my haircut like 2 days ago, I kind of realized that same thing about the exposures, because a few days before that I was having a conversation with my man's Mitch, and he was like, you know, we gotta work on like walkable communities, because there's this idea that a college campus is the closest thing to like back home in Africa where you have to walk to get things. Like the most practical way of getting places is just to go, like you just walk. And you know, before the development of like the cars and all that kind of stuff, it's just like you just walk. And normally everything that you need is in at least enough of a close proximity for you to walk and then get back to your house. So you go fetch water, you come back to your house. You go get your groceries, you come back to your house. You need a goat, you go to the farm that's closest to your house, you walk back to your house. And on a college campus, it's kind of like the same thing. You don't necessarily need a car to get basically everything you need. There's the cafeteria, you go eat, you come back. There's a library, you go read, you come back. You go to class, all that, you come back. You know what I'm saying? You got the dorm. So when I was there, because my barber's in the hood, I still go back to the hood to get my hair cut. And
who doesn't?
Right, you kind of have to. You can't switch.
I'm not gonna I can't go back. What you talking about?
That would be pretty far for you to go. So I go get my hair cut and then I walk out and I see like some of the same, the street that the barbershop is on is called Bergen Street. And there was even like a joke back in the day that is Bergen and Lyons Avenue. It's an intersection. They would call it Begging and Lying. Because it's like it's fiends and like regular hood ass people doing hood ass shit on that block. So
Negatory.
I see one of my boys, Peanut, his older brother Sha. I see him on the same corner that I've seen him on for like all my life at this point, like my whole entire life. And I'm like, man, does Sha know that there's a war in the Ukraine right now? does Shah know that there's like
Palestinians getting killed by the Israelis?
Does Shah know who made the clothes on his back? Does he know does he know that he has ancestry that's far beyond this place right here? Does he have any idea of those things? And I'm like, damn, like exposure matters so much. Because even me, yeah, I've taken some initiation classes, yada yada, all that kind of stuff, but without actually going there and having the exposure and knowing like, okay, this ain't what I thought it was. Like, it's moving, it's living, it's breathing. It's like an actual culture that you have to fit into with your action. It's not about talking about it, but really being about it. And I'm like, damn, yo, he probably don't know none of that. And he don't care.
He doesn't care.
He don't care.
But if you try and bring that to him, it'll be like, man, get the fuck out of here.
Kaz, you got $5?
Yeah. Like, nigga, what the fuck is you talking about, nigga?
Right.
Like, it's just gonna be some, like,
Yeah.
the fuck out of here. Like, just straight up. It's just gonna be like, nigga, what kind of time are you on right now, nigga? What the fuck you talking about? Like, that's just what it's gonna be. It's just gonna be people looking at you like, why are you... Like, what are you talking about? And what are you trying to bring around me?
But you know what's crazy? You start to realize that the phenomenon of I don't got time for that is at the basis of a lot of it. Because they're trying to get out of that general struggle. Like, as always, trying to get the trappings of, like, the
they're trying to
American
break out
dream.
of the traps. Yeah.
Yeah, but the trap
But by falling
inside
into
the
more
trap
traps.
is what they normally fall into.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, you need money? Take this job. Yeah, I got you. And then they get their check back on Friday, and it's like, what the how you take 60% of my check for my taxes? And now, oh, I got a kid, so another 20% of my check is in child support. And it's like, what am I going to do with $45 for the next week? So I'm about to go sell some drugs because they're right there. And then just, the cycle continues.
Again.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting part is, like, okay, do people realize they're in that state? That's like step one, right?
Yeah.
And then when you realize you're in that state, now what are the steps you take to decolonize yourself from the religion of niggas?
That's the dangerous part about it, though, because a lot of us can realize we're in that state, but the approach we take is victimization of being in that state.
Word.
Which is what you really see a lot in social media nowadays. It's more about us trying to get a foothold in the structure that we deem as the problem. Like us trying to get a seat at the table of the colonial society. And now it's funny because I was actually thinking about this on the drive over here. I was like, what is really the problem? Like, we as a people, we don't actually try to build ourselves, because in building ourselves, it would take us getting rid of what we think is ourselves, meaning it would take us getting rid of all the things we've been exposed to in a colonial society, and then having to relearn where we're actually coming from, or relearn how our ancestors did things in the past. And in doing so, then we'd have to shift and then now start taking on new habits, new ideas, new philosophies, new ways of thinking, new eating habits, all these different things. A lot of things would have to change, and people don't really want to do that because then it will disrupt their comfort. And once you disrupt your comfort, then you start to feel alienated or like alone, isolated, because those same insecurities about those same things that you don't want to change now start to eat away at you. And I think that's like really the biggest challenge, or one of the biggest traps. People inherently know that, and they don't want to go that route. So they rather take the route of, let me find a way to complain about the system and then make them hear me so they can make me more comfortable being in the system.
And I mean, the thing is that people will, this is like this is the difficult part, is people don't have the self-awareness to understand that their identity or who they think they are is not who they actually are. and it's something that you've learned, and that they don't understand that your identity in and of itself is something that you've attempted to define and something you have, created within the context of your conditioning and within the context of your environment and within the context of your circumstances. And when you don't have that exposure, like you were talking about, to widen your perspective, to widen your, point of view, then you just will identify with the so-called identity that's been defined or that's been informed or created or insulated by said circumstance, by said environment, by said exposures, by said, cultural context that you exist within. And then you're like, well, anything that comes to challenge that, well, I don't want it.
Yeah.
I don't want it around me, and frankly, it doesn't make sense. And that's where I think that first kind of like a defense mechanism that people undertake when they're challenged with something coming to challenge that kind of religion, because the reason why we're calling it a religion is because it becomes a way of life. It becomes a way of doing things that you just like say to yourself, like, hey, you know what? Like anything that comes to challenge it must be bad. Like I was talking to someone that is like a devout Christian the other day, right? A friend of mine, former coworker of mine. Hallelujah. And I just was like, but let me kind of go and check out like what is going on in the church, right? So I texted her and I was like, hey, I want to start going to church. I want to like discover my faith, right? And then she was like, but the thing is that she like, she
opened it up.
Yeah, she opened it up. And I hope to God she never watches this, because I'm about to read them.
Hope to her God.
Huh?
Hope to her God.
I hope to her God she never watches this. So I asked, and then I was like, what do you get from it, if I may ask, right? And then she said, honestly, it's too much to unpack in one line. Once you encounter and experience God and the Holy Spirit, your life is forever changed, and you know what the truth in this world is. And then she was like, there's nothing greater than His love. And once you're saved, you see your purpose in life and why you're put on this earth.
Saved.
And then I was like, so like, I asked her like, how long did that take? And then she was like, well, it depends. For some people it can happen at once. For others, it depends. It's not a matter of you. It's a matter of when the Holy Spirit comes. And then she was like, well, you'll find out at church.
What, she mean like being taken?
I don't know, bro. And then but anyway, she was like, anyways, I'm glad you have an open mind and come with an open heart. In His perfect timing, you will experience and encounter His love and presence. And then I was like, why do you keep capitalizing the pronouns? Like, because she was capitalizing the pronouns of like when she was like saying His. And then she was like, because there's only one God and He is the way, the truth, and the life. And then I started asking like about the rest of her family, and I was like, is your dad like religious? And she was like, no, only me and my mom are saved. And then I was like asking why. And then she was like, and I asked, I'm like, she said her dad maybe had a bad experience with Christians or something like that. And I was like, well, what is it? And then she was like, I don't know, but he doesn't go to church. And then she said, if you experience God, your heart softens and you start to change. Not by any means close to perfection, but there's something about you that's different and sets you apart from the world. And I couldn't respond to that. Like, I couldn't respond to the things she was saying. And I was just asking questions because I'm genuinely trying to understand. Like, how do the mental machinations of someone in that kind of environment that keeps putting themselves in that environment, like what's going through your brain, right? And that's when I started to realize, I was like, this person is living ideologies.
Exactly.
Like, they're not living in reality, because even like what she's talking about is not connected to reality in any way, because it's just like you're just like spewing something that, you know, in your mind
Exactly.
makes sense, but then to me doesn't make sense. So it's an ideology because it only exists in your mind. It doesn't exist in anyone else's mind. And I realized that everyone is kind of in that state. So whether you're in a, you know, whether you're in the religion of niggas, you're in the religion of, you know, white people, you're in the religion of crackers, you're in the religion of Karens, you're in the religion of whatever, you name it. Like, it just like, you know, whatever helps you sleep at night in terms of putting it into context. It's like you live in this kind of environment where it's like you're self-perpetuating these kind of ideals and these kind of ideologies that you're just like actively manifesting in your life because of the way you're holding them in your mind and then trying to put them into practice. And then that's when I realized, I was like, that's why someone can go to church and then it will be so soft and comforting for them because they're living such soft and comforting ideologies in their mind. And then the reality is that nature responds to you and interacts with you based on how you approach it and how you approach the reality of the environment that you exist within, which is nature. Regardless of if you think that nature is the Netflix DVD that you see on TV with the polar bears or the penguins and whatever, the seals, or the safaris and the gazelles in Africa, whatever. Like, you exist within nature. You just exist in a environment that's been removed from it. So what's happening is now you've locked yourself in a certain kind of state. And then now you're locked in that state, unable to kind of break yourself out. So for, like we said, this episode's for the niggas, right? Because we are, as black and brown people, when we go back to wherever we come from, or when we go back to, you know, like the hood or wherever it is, or just wherever we find ourselves, there's this aspect of like a misunderstanding about, you know, what is it about you, like what you were describing, where they're like, no, I don't get it. So then I was sitting there and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, can you reverse engineer that type of kind of process for people that are in that state? Can you reverse engineer them being able to understand that, like, you're locked in a state and then there's something you have to do to get yourself out of that state, and then somehow now put yourself in a, like, on a path toward getting out of that state, and then now getting into the next state, and then now getting into the next state, and then now getting into the next state, and so on and so forth. Do you guys think there's a way to help people understand, like, you're locked in a state, and then now you're going to have to find some way to start that next state or that next step of evolving? And this is how you can do it. Do you think that's something you can communicate to somebody in that state?
See, in my mind, I want to say yes, but then I also have to look at the reality of things. And I think that's where things become difficult, because oftentimes we tend to look at things from our own perspective based upon like what we would do. So for me, I would say if I was on the outside, right, and I didn't know you guys, and you guys came to me and then you were putting certain logics to me about life and existence and reality and nature, and about how maybe I'm living and about the things I'm doing, I would have already, me being me back then, I would have already been thinking in a certain kind of ways. where I would sit down and have those conversations and be like, tell me more. So for me, all I was wanting was exposure. But for some people, they might not want the exposure. So I have to be real about that. And I think we need to sometimes understand that some people just don't want to be helped. Like, you can only help those who want it. Right. You can only help those who are really seeking it. And you can only help those who truly, truly, truly understand that something needs to change in them for something outside of them to change. And that's where it gets like dicey, because sometimes we can kind of develop this kind of weird savior mentality where we want to save everybody, but then not everybody needs to or wants to be saved. So it's a tricky question. It's like a yes and a no, really, because it almost applies to like individuals. It applies to certain groups of people, and it might not apply to other groups of people. And like, there's some people who are so far in niggotry and in niggerdom that it just in niggertism, like there's no turning back. And then there's some people, it's like, yo, if you can really truly understand how to reach this person, for some people it's the logic, right? Like, if you hit me with a logic, I'm not gonna refute you. It's like, well, shit, nigga, I can't argue with you. But if some people, you hit them with some emotional shit, it's like, well, damn, that hit me deep.
Right.
You cut me different. I might have to sit down and think about that one. It's like, it's all different kind of approaches based upon who you're talking to. And I think you gotta like really first know and understand who it is you're talking to. That's even how marketing works. It's like, yo, you gotta know your target audience. Like, who am I targeting? What am I trying to sell to them? How am I gonna sell it to them? What are they gonna listen to? Like, but what have they listened to before?
Now I think you're hitting it right on the head, because it's making me think about the Black Panthers, right? The Black Panthers marketed the mission of like, fuck the system, let's kill them the same way that they're killing us. We gotta get straps, and we gotta be ready to police our own communities, because the police is killing us. So Black people immediately picked it up. They're like, I bet, no problem. Like, sure. But it's the ones that was like, okay, I'm ready for something like that. Now, the people that in general we're speaking of with this talk of like negativism is because it is interesting what you just asking, like a reverse engineering, right? So what do they want? What are they actually after in life right now, right? Okay. They're looking for a sense of that freedom that everybody wants. So everybody is being sold. So if you can communicate to them that the freedom that they're looking for is actually another form of the slavery that they're trying to get out of, and sort of reverse the role of thinking that going further into it will get you more than turning around and seeing what's behind you, then it's possible on that front, I think. Because that's what the Black Panthers did. It's like, don't go further into this. Don't continue to let the police, run your societies, because they're working for these people. And these people don't have your interests, your best interests at heart. So we live in the community together. So let's just do it together. But I don't think that there's outside of Skepta, I don't see any other organization that really decides like, okay, we'll do this together under a structure that is really trying to turn around and see what's behind us. But outside of that, it would just be a trap. It would just be another trap. You got Juneteenth festivals and all of this kind of stuff that's happening now, but it's just another form of the same thing. So unless you can actually galvanize people to come together to see that, like, yes, we're all already a part of this, but how do we put our heads together to actually make progress in a direction that makes sense to all of us, not ending up in the same positions that those people are in, that we're trying to free ourselves from, because it's the politicians, it's the yada yada. So if you go into politics, you just end up in the same seat.
And that's the tricky part about it, because even what you're describing with the Black Panthers, it's like, again,
Yeah.
the trajectory, it makes sense. The ideas behind it makes sense. Ideologically, it makes sense. But then realistically, it's like if we police ourselves, the model for that policing
Exactly.
is still the system.
Exactly.
If we have institutions for ourselves, the models for that institution will still the institutions of the system. And that's where things get dicey. This is where the logic has to come in. It's like, okay, so where is the model that we're trying to go with that's going to get us out of this model? And that's the tricky part. And I think even like with niggas, the people who are stuck in that niggatry, you gotta, even they at some point have to agree that don't make no sense.
Yeah.
Well,
You have to be able to see that.
Have you guys seen that movie Free Guy or something like that? And it's about like the guy in the video game, and he learns he's in a video game, and then like he learns like he's just like he's a playable character in the game, and then he starts trying to like break out of like what's in his programming in terms of like the things he's able to do in the game, and then he becomes kind of like a self-aware program in the game, and then he starts trying to wake up the other NPCs, the non-playable characters in the game, because he's like, no, it's like your game, like, no, you don't have to, like, you're a program in a game, and like you don't have to keep doing
the same
thing. Like you don't have to keep delivering the mail. Like you don't have to keep doing this. You don't have to keep doing that. And then like that's what the movie's about. It's like it's about this thing, this character that becomes the program in the game that becomes self-aware and starts trying to break out of it. And I think ultimately that's the rub, right? Is that what are you trying to do? What do you see as the next thing that you need to kind of focus on in order to get out, or in order to kind of propel yourself forward? And I think so many people don't take the time to really think about that, because I think so many people are so focused on kind of the basic survival needs, and they're so busy in trying to do that they don't have time to think about anything else.
But that's the
traveler
rub.
system.
That's the rub
right there. It's the I don't got time for that. That becomes like, okay, if I'm going to focus on anything else, it's gonna take my life away. Like that's the idea that rests in the back of but low key on like just a human being level, that's the barbarism that lives like inside of all of us. Like if I really put my mind to doing something outside of these habits that I have every day, this week to week, month to month, year by year idea of things that I have, like I gotta fit Christmas into it, I gotta fit Thanksgiving into it, I gotta do these things in this way that's been given to me. Once I start to think outside of that, it's like, where's my life gonna go? What's gonna happen to my life? And then because it's foreign to you, it's like, I'd much rather just have these Oreos and dip them in some milk and
Don't
chill.
use Oreos. I like Oreos.
You see, we got one. We got one.
Step forward. The congregation will hear your confession, cards are written. Your confession of the religion of niggas.
But it's just that foreign, territory in your life that, it is a very fearful, territory to kind of step into, because it comes with a shift. It comes with those changes, and you don't know what's going to come out of that. Like, depending on what stage you're in your life, like if you feel comfortable, because that's even another trap of the system. It's like, if you get enough money, then you can do that kind of stuff, no problem, Big Sean, he was like regular rapper nigga. Now he's like
Finally famous.
A hotep.
Yeah,
Finally
exactly.
famous nigga.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what he's doing?
Bro, he got married to Janae Aiko, had a kid, and now he's like some Zen nigga.
Oh, he's hotepping? I didn't know he was hotepping.
I didn't know that
He
either.
hotepping. Big Sean, exactly.
Wow.
That's
But
why he
it's-
hasn't put out music in a long time, I'm assuming. Because he's finding himself.
Exactly.
Wow.
Nice. Good for Big Sean.
But
That's
it's
great.
like once
Can I get $1 million,
Finally
Big Sean?
hotepping.
Can I get $1 million?
He's not finally famous. He's finally hotepping.
Nah, for real. But it's like, yo, once you get the bread, then it becomes like, oh, okay, I'm good enough to
Buy your way out.
Exactly. You get to buy your way out of it. But the real deal, like brain games, are still there because you only did it because of them being able to play you into the portion, that part. You're still a pawn, and you're still telling other people, get this amount of money, and then you can buy your way out of it. It's the same thing as that song, that J. Cole song. I think the neighbors think I'm selling
Oh,
dope.
yeah. I
dope.
think the neighbors think I'm selling.
It's like you move
Motherfucker,
out of the hood,
I
and
am.
it's the same bullshit.
Yeah.
You can't buy your way out of it. So it's the same trap. But once you get to a point where you're like, okay, I know how scary it is. I know that it's foreign to me, but I'm gonna make this first step. I'm gonna take the first step to go towards like something else. Cause like I was saying with my boy Steve, sometimes I'll look at his story. It amuses me a little bit because it's like, how are you doing this? How are you really mixing these two worlds? It's even hard for me to do it sometimes. Like, but he does it so well to the point where it's like amusing to me. Like, man, you're really like, I can't just call you a nigga anymore. Now I have to call you a Sudanese nigga. Like because you're so proud of where you come from, and you're really promoting it on the same level as you do like the nigga shit.
That's so hilarious because it's true. It's so true. Going back to what we said in the beginning, like it's a global, worldwide phenomenon.
For real.
Because you even have Irish niggas. You got Japanese niggas.
So wait, you're saying like there's Irish people that are adopting so-called religion of being a nigga?
Everybody's adopted the religion of being a nigga.
But she's trying to get your attention. I think you're hitting the Instagram feed. But yeah, but wait, what are you talking about? You just talking about like people just co-opting it, or you talking about like actual niggas in Ireland?
I think that's the thing. Like, to go back to what we were saying, like people might be a little confused and thinking we're just talking about black people in America, but to a degree, yes. But then niggadom extends beyond that. It extends beyond a race.
Empire.
It's an empire.
It is an
It's a
empire.
religion, right?
Yeah, it is. It's a global
It's
phenomenon.
pretty much conquered the world at this point.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen like European drill rappers who are like white? Have you ever heard Pete and Bass?
UK drill.
No.
You never heard Pete and Bass?
Do I look like I listen
Bro.
to UK drill rap?
I'm gonna play you some Pete and Bass. They're these two old white guys.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I've just seen those. I thought it was just a joke. though.
No, bro.
It's for real?
They're two of the top drill rappers in the UK.
You get me,
But you're talking
bro.
about the two old ones. Right?
Yes, bro.
Yeah, but I thought. No, I thought that was a joke. I thought it was a joke.
No, it's not. It's not a joke. They have albums.
Yeah,
They have
that's
albums.
crazy.
Then there's Japanese niggas. It's to the point where Japanese niggas are
Yes.
now even doing like some kind of chemical thing to change their hair nappy like us.
Yeah, I saw that.
Like it's a phenomenon. It's a global thing.
Yeah, but the thing is that like they don't understand that like even because I mean that's what we've been talking about is like people are trying to get out of. Oh, I mean I would say they're trying, but
Yeah.
some people are trying to get out of it.
Yeah.
Like in the kind of like the whole trappings of that lifestyle.
But that's where the trap lies. It's like now it's promoted as a trend.
Mm-hmm.
It's popularized to the point where now people are not going to want to try to get out of it no more because they understand that the youth are going to want to gravitate to it because now it's a global phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. It's popular. It's trendy. it's cool to say drive by bang bang. Like, it's cool. Like,
Yo,
that shit is cool.
I was doing research for the rapid fire earlier, bro. There's a video. Y'all know Fabio Foreign?
Yeah. And the rapper from
Y'all know Lil Mabu?
Yeah, from Brooklyn.
No.
Okay.
No, I don't know who that
I knew
is.
this was gonna be the surprising part.
You're
Lil
like, gotcha.
Mabu. I don't know what ethnicity is, but his skin is white.
Okay.
His skin is white.
Yeah.
He has a video with Fabio Foreign for a song called "Teach Me How to Drill."
Mm-hmm.
The beginning of the video, Lil Mabu is sitting in the chair. He's created a persona for himself where he's like a nerdy white kid, but his real life persona is he's like a white nigga.
So it's like Lil Dicky almost.
No,
No?
Eminem.
no.
Beyond that.
It's like if you take who's somebody good?
Machine Gun Kelly.
No, bro.
No. I'm just
No
throwing,
one listens
I'm just
to
throwing
Machine
out
Gun
white
Kelly,
rappers,
yeah.
bro.
No.
I don't know.
Machine Gun Kelly
No,
is
but
awful.
it's almost like if you just put, I don't know, like the most hood little nigga from 125th that you've ever seen before,
Yeah.
and you put him in a white body.
So it's a hood white dude.
It's a white nigga.
It's a white nigga. But is it a joke or
It's not a joke.
it's not a joke? Oh, so it's not like a satirical thing.
The satire is that he's a white nerdy kid, and he's using that now to appeal
To the white nerdy audience.
Exactly,
To spread more of the propaganda
to say
of
do
niggatry.
it, to say you can do it.
Uh-huh.
Now in the video,
okay, I see,
there'll
I see.
be parts where Lil Mabu will rap up until a point where he's about to say the word nigga,
Yeah.
and then Fabio Foreign will come in and say
and then
nigga,
say
and
nigga.
then continue rapping.
Yeah.
And then they kind of go back and forth like this. And I'm like,
Oh
wow, this is interesting because it's showing how the trap itself can self-perpetuate in such a way now that, okay, maybe his white ancestors were the same ones that enslaved Fabio Foreign's ancestors. And now he's like, okay, well, if everybody in this neighborhood acts like this and I act like this, they'll accept me into the neighborhood, but I know really what it looks like to everyone else. And if I use what it looks like to everyone else to my benefit, I can benefit off both. And I get to play both sides of it. So now it's like,
I mean, it's like the Eminem thing. It's like Eminem through and through.
yeah, but it's worse now. Like he got, bro. When I saw the part where he like rapped until he was about to say nigga, and then the black guy jumped in and said nigga for him, I was like, ah man, this is getting a little sketchy now. I don't know, bro.
Well, that's the thing is like I was like most of the remember what's his name, Tony or whatever, the
guy that came for the health
yeah,
consultation.
the guy that came for the health consultation. He was saying to me, he was like, he's like looking at y'all, like the younger generation, like people your age. He was like, you guys are much more, unified, like, racially. And he was like, because he was, he said it. He said it. He was like, y'all are much more unified racially. He's like, I see the Indian girls, I see the white lady. He's like, he's like, this is good. It's good. And then I was saying to myself, I was like, it's interesting because I think about so I'm only 3 years older than my brother. But when I look at my brother and his friends and his kind of like his generation, only 3 years apart, right? But it seems like a completely different kind of generation almost.
Yeah.
Because of the way that they all interact with each other. Like where everyone wants to be a nigga, but nobody wants to be a nigga. So it's like the way white people kind of like co-opt and adopt the black culture and that. Yeah. But then they don't. It's like they are much more supportive. Like they're much more in it, in that they're trying to be it. Like Lil Mabu. But it's like, but then you're not it, and you're not it. But then you're kind of like trying to be it.
So that makes the people who actually are it and stuck in it want to continue to be stuck in it, because then it becomes.
Why wouldn't you?
they're just copying us.
Yeah.
Right.
We're the basis of this.
Right.
Of course.
We're the centerpiece or the masterpiece of this whole thing.
Exactly.
Which is where you get all these weird ideologies of people thinking that black culture is like, or nigga culture, really, not even black
Exactly.
culture.
There you go.
Nigga culture is the culture that runs the world. Everybody wants to be like the niggers.
Press this for you because we got new buttons.
That's how.
Oh yeah, we got the new sounds.
I even
don't
hear what
have
that
my-
was. What was that?
It's Master now we're talking about. That's how evil works.
That's how evil works.
I don't have.
That needs to be a little louder.
I don't have my headphones, so like.
That's how evil works.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is.
It
That
really
That is how
though.
evil works.
It really is.
Oh man.
Shout out to I see Nandelia on Instagram Live. That's my sister. So shout out to my sister.
Big up yourself.
She's saying everyone wants to be a nigga for popularity, but who really wants to be a nigga when it comes to socioeconomic matters like credit score, police interaction? But yes, we all gravitate to what's popping in avant-garde, but which is our flavor. We all love niggas, but and then said, by the way, Irish peoples were definitely considered as the white niggas of European Willis Island days.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They get
Like-
they get a little slight different of a pass.
Yeah.
slight
Like-
different of a pass.
I mean, the way, how did that guy put it when we were in Chicago? He was like, man, Irish people, them the niggas of Europe.
That's exactly what he
That's
said.
the way- that's the way he said
exactly
it.
what he said.
But okay, so we're gonna go to some of the questions on the not Instagram, on the YouTube. So there's a question here from Kem Warrior Zulbukande. Shout out to Kem Warrior Zulbukande. He's one of our most dedicated viewers and listeners, and he said, "What is your opinion of the Sudanese general accusing the United Arab Emirates of supplying paramilitary group, the RSF, the Rapid Support Forces? If it's true, then you was right. How will they respond?" So I think what Warriors of Bukande is referring to is when we were giving a context to some of the destabilization that had been happening in the Sahara area of Africa, particularly even the region of Sudan and also West Africa, where you see there being a destabilization within the region and then there not being a real understanding as to where that destabilization is coming from and what it's about, and how you have the Arab countries and the Arab-backed agenda coming into Africa, trying now to really find their roots within the historical context of Africa. So yes, it is the United Arab Emirates backing the RSF. It is, these different regions, these different countries from the Middle East, or these Arab countries, let me just say that, because we don't want to buy into kind of the way that the map is divided and the way that they have us talking about things.
Berlin Conference.
So you said what?
Berlin Conference. Nigga.
Berlin Conference, yeah, exactly. So with that being said, what you're seeing is you're seeing them trying to gain a foothold in that area so that they can start trying to, excavate and start archaeology things and things like that, because they're trying to do that everywhere. Because what they're coming to the realization is they're coming to the realization that the language that they're speaking, the language of Arabic, is not coming from them and is coming from a very specific region in Africa. And they're trying to figure out where are the origins of their said religion or their said culture. Because anyone that knows any real history knows that the Arabs were even given certain objects by the Kemetic civilization during certain time periods within the Kemetic, when the Kemetic civilization was much more out and about, as opposed to it being hidden now. And they've held on to those objects, and anyone that knows, give it back, like the real history, understands that the reason why even the Palestinians and the Jews are even fighting is because they've held on to some of those objects and they have refused to give them back. So yeah, it's much bigger than just like, you know, Africa just kind of deciding to kind of kick out the influence of and the backing of the Arab agenda in Africa, and it's going to be interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah.
But Kemwar is also saying, what is your opinion on Nigeria and the Kenya bishop rejecting the Pope's stance on blessings for same-sex couples? Is this an opportunity for Africans to get away from the European religion? Hell yeah.
Word.
Yeah, because now they're kind of like, wait a second, what?
You've been selling us this Jesus shit for years.
Selling us this shit for
Talking
years.
about
Now
a
you
man and a woman.
Now you out here, yeah. Get the fuck out of here.
Talking about
niggas is
them
on
and
some-
they.
hey, Africans are now on some nigga shit. Like, get the fuck out of here. Then, I don't know how to say this brother's name, but I think it's like Atukwe Newell, saying, does the group use the same derogatory terminology to refer to white people, Asians, I'm assuming Jews, but he wrote news. Jews, gays, etc., or do we reserve the inflammatory language for American descendants of Africa? Yeah, I mean, this episode's for the niggas, so specifically for the niggas. So like, you know, you got to be able to reach people, you know, how they need to be reached, and you got to be real about it. So at the end of the day, like, we're not here trying to, you know, adopt a certain disposition of intellectualism where we're going to sit here and then, you know, disassociate ourselves from the way people are genuinely living and the way people are genuinely functioning, trying to fit into some sort of idealism that you're trying to get us to fit into. So,
and I think he missed the entire point of the episode. And we explained even what you're even talking about. Like, we just explained that.
So I don't know what to tell you, bro.
I think to if you're still watching,
if you're still there.
So your choice of the word derogatory, right? I think you need to really look at the fact that for one, maybe you don't understand some things that we understand about this culture and how it functions.
Or even that word.
Or that word itself, right? Because in the Kemetic traditions, and this is kind of just for everybody, in the Kemetic traditions, you'll find that sometimes you'll see it now in like the military. You'll join and they'll give you like a derogatory name. They'll give you like a name, the nickname, just to like poke at something that's weak about you, like a weak area that you have.
Like in Full Metal Jacket, they call it the fat guy Piggy or something like that.
Right.
Because he's fat.
Jarhead, you know, all of those kind of movies. So yeah, it's really a thing where like you have to realize, like, even if somebody is picking at something, because 9 times out of 10 when I do say nigga, I'm saying it in that way, like, yeah, there is some funny shit about you, nigga. It's something that you might just have to look at, but I'm not saying it to hurt you. I'm saying it maybe to poke at it, and if we can both poke at it in the same way, then we understand each other. We have an understanding of the culture. But when you take it too far, then you become that nigga that's everybody's looking at, like, what are you talking about? Like, some derogatory shit, like, nigga.
That's just, stop. Again, it's an insecurity thing, because you even, like, we sat here and we spoke about it, and it wasn't necessarily directed in that way. But you have an insecurity in yourself about feeling like you are that way, or feeling like it's derogatory towards you and derogatory towards a certain demographic of people. So then now you exhibit that insecurity, and now you're putting that on us when that's not what we were even talking about. You completely missed the whole entire point. Like, the problem is this: people need to get out of the labels and the their own idea of derogatory that's been given to them by the society and by this system. Because if you really truly understand what we were talking about, then you wouldn't even have made that comment.
Yeah, I mean, you missed the whole point. The whole point being is that we said this episode was for the niggas. So
The white niggas, the Asian niggas, the Jew niggas.
If you ain't a nigga, you ain't gonna get it. Like, and you obviously ain't a nigga. Like, so, next question. Wars Ubukande. Wait, so the world is not flat? Please explain. I don't know, what is the world. No, the world is not flat.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come
the world
on, man.
is not flat, man. No.
Yo, let me talk about this real quick. Really quick.
Please don't.
I'm not gonna go far. I'm not gonna go too long. No,
I'm
it's
trying
just
to get to
hilarious.
rapid fire after these questions. Like,
It's just hilarious because at one point, like, I was researching this flat Earth thing. I'm like, what is this people talking about, right? I'm like, maybe there's something to it. Let me just get to it. So then the more and more I researched it, the more I realized niggas was just saying some shit that didn't really necessarily make sense. So now I realized that they were taking like scientifical things and then trying to like revamp it and make it sound real. Then I started to research the reality or where it came from. So I realized it came from one group in Europe where niggas put out an experiment. And the experiment was supposed to be a social experiment where they were going to fool people into believing the earth was flat because they wanted to see how gullible people were. So they put this experiment out as a social experiment, and then one guy took it so far that he created an entire organization based off of this social experiment. And then all these theories and conspiracy theories started flooding the internet for years based off of a group of people's social experiment. And even they were like, yo, we didn't even, this shit has gone too far.
Right. He wasn't even one of the original members.
Well,
and he like took it
what's
over.
that saying? It's like a lie will make its way around the world before the truth has the ability to put its pants on.
Word. Word.
So
But yeah, bro, we figured out it was not flat a very long time ago. We knew it was circular in the sphere when other people were still thinking it was flat. But
Aqua Ayo says, I'm a bit confused. Is that you? Oh.
I thought it was when I read it
Yeah,
too.
I thought it, I didn't know that's the way you spell queer. Can we explain how nature responding to you interacting with it, how is that different from the law of attraction? It's different because the law of attraction is about being able to just force the reality to manifest things into your life.
Because I want it so bad.
Because you want it. Like you just can you can force the reality to manifest what you want.
I believe
Instead of understanding that the reality only interacts with you based on the way you interact with the reality. So you telling the reality like, okay, now you're going to listen to me and I'm going to force you to like bring into existence what I want you to bring into existence, then the existence is just going to be like, okay, no problem. But then that means that like that's not the way that the existence actually functions, because there's like the way the existence genuinely functions, and then there's like the source code of the way that it functions, and then there's like that, and then in the source code there's a kind of like failsafe that's there to ensure that you technically have to abide by the environment. So then the way you kind of approach the environment will determine the way that the environment interacts with you. But it doesn't mean you're any closer to the actual source code. Does that make sense? Like it's there kind of like as a deterrent, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, funny story. I hang out with this family sometimes, and
This family?
Yeah.
this family.
I like
It's a family.
I don't know where
Okay,
you're
right.
going with this, but okay.
So there's this kid, right? His name's Hauti, and he'll always ask his mom.
Okay.
He'll be like, he won't ask. He'll be like, I want a sandwich, and she'll be like, Good for you. But it's a beautiful life lesson in the same thing that you're saying, because it's like, who cares that you want a sandwich? Okay, bet. That's great. I want one too. What we gonna do? So he has to go back and think like, oh, can I have a sandwich, please? And then it's like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. But like, how are you interacting with the things that are around you? You just expressing what you want, or are you actually gonna like have the questions and the functionality that gets you there?
Is that the way you spell your name, like Aqua?
No, that's just how I spelled it on
Oh.
Google.
Okay, gotcha.
I want a sandwich.
I want a sandwich.
Good for you.
Good for you.
That's like a true like husband and wife interaction. Like, I want a sandwich. Good for you old bastard. All right, so then Warriors Ubukande, does Skepta or traditional institutions, especially in Africa, have more ground to gain now than the young population demanding extreme change and a fair say in the economy and politics? Does Skepta consider the Madu-natured language heliographic as a Pan-Africanism continental language?
What?
Yeah, I mean it is. It's like, I get what you're going. I get where you're going.
Heliographic.
Yeah, it's the. I think he means like, is it the indigenous language of Africa?
Hieroglyphs.
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
it's the indigenous language of Africa.
hieroglyphic. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
It's the indigenous language of Africa, and does Skepta. Yeah, we do. We do have more ground to gain. It just more so that, like, you know, people are getting swallowed up by the nigga religion every day. You know, like it goes, it comes and goes. Let's see. Is there anything else?
I don't think you answered his Madu question.
No, I did. I said it's the language of, it's the indigenous language of Africa. Mm-hmm. It's the indigenous language of the world. It's the first language of the world. It didn't come from us. It came from the gods. Hold on. I think that's it, right? Yeah. Chem Warrior was asking what's the name of the movie. I already answered that. And then Matthew Ruta is saying, Ujai Head Mer, do the ancestors bring us the challenges to face to wake us up? First and foremost, please don't do that. You just say Tutipsa. Or if you want to go about it structurally, you know how you could say it. But like, yeah, you don't have to do that. We don't do that here, like with the whole OJ, like where you put the like.
I would like to request
Oh man,
like,
I'm sorry. I
a meeting.
No. You got me out here feeling like I'm T'Challa in Black Panther when the guy walked up and then he was like, we don't do that here.
We issue a challenge.
No, man, dude. But the ancestors bring us challenges to face to wake us up. Absolutely, because challenges are there to force you to grow. So, like, if I'm struggling with something in my life, and because I'm a human being, I'm going to be struggling with something. Because if I'm not struggling, then I'm not, I'm not going through the process of being a human being. So, I can always tell when, like, I'm doing good in my life when my life gets harder. If my life's not hard, then I'm not evolving.
I must be doing great.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we're doing wonderful. We're doing great.
I'm doing amazing.
We're doing great. Like, because that's the thing, though, is that, like, if it's not difficult, then that's signs of, like, something's wrong.
Something to look for, yeah.
Like, then you're like, oh, no, this is too easy. Like, if it's hard, then pause. If your life is difficult, that's how you know things are, like you're on the path of evolution. So yeah, absolutely. Ancestors put challenges in your life to help you evolve and to help you grow. So yeah.
That's even a segue to niggerdom.
All right.
You know what? Never mind. I had a point, but never mind.
A word from our sponsor. Here you go, sir. I'm so tired of reading it. I'm like, now we need to do like the pre-recorded one where we just like play it. Yeah. But we're doing it on air because it's on air. So,
Sauce began in 2007. I was in the 8th grade.
2007. I was in high school. That was my sophomore year of high school.
I wish
Freshman
I knew
year,
about this in
sophomore year.
2007.
I wouldn't have taken it seriously.
You wouldn't have.
I was so far in my nigga religion.
I would have.
I don't know, maybe.
2007 was the year that I found the movie Zeitgeist
Oh.
on MySpace, and I swear to God, my life changed.
Wait, 2007 is the year that I found. There's a guy. This is what I was thinking about. I should have shared this story earlier, but I didn't. But now that you, I don't know. Did you finish your point though?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. 2007 is when so me and my friend Blaine, shout out to Blaine. I know you're never going to listen to this, but shout out to Blaine. I'll see you when I come to Texas at some point. And we were at Albertsons and we were trying to get someone to buy us beer because we're like 15, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's this black dude that works at Albertsons. Albertsons is a grocery store in Texas, right? Just like a Ralph's, and if you're in California, or like a Stop and Shop, or whatever, like one of those
or
chains. Hanam market. So anyway, Blaine says, "Hey, let's ask this black dude to buy us beer," because he works at Albertsons and he's just stocking the fridge. So Blaine walks up to me. He's like, "Hey, bro," he's like, "He buy us beer," and then he kind of looks at us and he's like, "All right, I'll buy y'all beer." And so we wait for him to get off work, and then he comes outside. He buys the beer. We give him the money. He buys the beer. He comes outside. He gives it to us. And he's like, "What the fuck y'all about to go do?" And we're like, "We're going to go drink." And he's like, "Oh, I'll kick with y'all." And so like us being like 15, 16,
red flag.
like we don't even think, it wasn't a red flag actually. It was a green flag. It would have been a red flag. It would have been a red flag in any other instance. But like, but I'm also like, I was relatively big. I was like,
yeah, like
200
pounds. Would just beat him.
Yeah, I was still 200 pounds, like at 15. So it's like, you're gonna, like Blaine he's kind of like the Karate Kid. So it's like
we're good.
But like we're the kind of kids that like the watch automatically becomes a like brass knuckles.
Exactly.
So it's like you're in for a rough time if you think you're gonna just take us for
understood.
Take us, right? But there was another guy that we knew that was like he was like a straight loser because he was hanging out with high school kids. Yeah. And was like a grown ass man, right?
I'll drink with y'all.
But he was cool though, the other guy. And so he worked there at Albertsons with him, so he was cool too. So we're kicking it with them because there were some other people that we knew that had already graduated high school that were like the older brother of some of the people that we were still in high school with. So it was kind of like those kind of people. So anyway, so we're kicking it with the dude, right? And then he starts like talking and like kicking knowledge, right?
I love those kind of conversations.
And so this is the time when like I saw the light. I got saved out of the nigga religion. And so he put me on and he was like, "Hey man," he's like, "You ever read 48 Laws of Power?" He put me on the 48 Laws of Power. He put me on a Machiavelli. He put me on to like how Shakespeare wrote the Bible, like the Illuminati, like the whole shebang. Right. So that's when like, I started kind of like looking in that direction for things, like kind of looking for more outside of the lies that we were being told. And that was like the first step out of the nigga-dom. That was like the first step.
Exposure.
And his name, I'll never forget his name because it's like out of a fucking Shakespeare thing or like something else. His name is Mariante. So-
What?
Huh?
Mariante.
Mariante.
Was he
yeah.
Spanish? Like,
No, it was a black dude. What? You
The
listen to the
fuck?
story, bro?
he
It's a
could be
black
Spanish
dude.
and black.
No, he's a black dude.
He could be
tall-ass
Dominican.
black
That's
dude,
like
yeah.
that's
Puerto
like
Rican?
Hispanic and Italian put
Mariante.
together.
But yeah, it's interesting because like then like a few times he'd be like, "Hey, bro," he's like, "You go take me to see my parole officer," because he was a parolee, and he was in prison for some time. Because we used to ask questions like, "So didn't people really get raped in jail?" And he was like, "Nah." He's like, "That shit don't be happening unless you like trying to get that shit to happen or some shit like that." And like, but it was like, just like when you're 16 and then you are able to meet someone that's with different life experiences than you, and then you're like, "Oh, let me take advantage of this to like learn
Right.
some shit." But yeah, just a brief anecdote. But yeah,
2007, man. It was a year.
It was a year.
It
That
was
was
a
around
year.
that year, man.
It was a year.
2007.
It's funny you said that because when you mentioned that, I immediately remembered that is the same time I saw the Zeitgeist too.
You see that, and then it's like,
Yeah.
oh,
It must have been something in the air at that time
man.
that kind of forced those who were
It's
many
funny
are called but few are chosen.
It's
So the
funny
ones that were
'cause
called.
the same friends I was
awakened.
talking about that I would sit and smoke and talk all this shit with. It was like one of them's older brother was actually the one who told us about Zeitgeist, and we would sit around smoke it, and then they would all be sitting there like that friend's old, like he was like, "Yo, bro, I don't think we should be watching this shit, bro. This shit kind of scaring me."
Let's get through this so we can do.
Sauce, hot sauce. Began in 2007 when we were having our Get Out of Niggadom 101, and a small group of students was also traveling in West Africa, and they were trying to think of ways to support charitable projects. One of the students traveling happened to be an artisanal hot sauce chef. Bling! The light goes off, and right there, Sauce Hot Sauce was born.
Added
Since
something.
then, Sauce Hot Sauce has prided itself on making exceptional artisan hot sauces with high quality ingredients to support good causes. We continue to do this with the best and tastiest offering of sauce flavors to date, with a focus on supporting displaced families in the Fada and Gorma region of Burkina Faso with the revenue from our sales. Sauce Hot Sauce.
Get you some. Get you some sauce, hot sauce, man.
Yeah.
Get you some. Yeah. So with that being said, we can just hop right into rapid fire. What? Rapid fire? No, that was I was playing that for you guys. I didn't actually have.
We
him.
should do that though. We gonna do it.
Like
We
what?
should put that as one of the buttons. And
rapid
make like
fire.
rapid.
Just AZ saying rapid fire.
Right.
Oh, you good? So, all right, I'm gonna turn your mic on. Ready? Your mic is on.
Okay, so first up for rapid fire, we have teenage super hacker sentenced to life in hospital.
Man.
So a GTA 6 hacker was handed a hospital order. His name was known as Lapsus.
No, I think the organization.
no.
The
Organization
organization,
is
The
Lapsus,
organization is known as Lapsus. Is an international extortion-focused hacker group known for its various cyber attacks against companies and government agencies. The group was globally active and has had members arrested in Brazil and the UK. It's attacked a number of organizations like the Brazil's Ministry of Health, Okta, which is an identity and access management company, Nvidia, Samsung, T-Mobile, Microsoft, Uber, and Rockstar Games. They
all in
cost
2022.
That's a rap sheet.
That's
in
a
one
company.
year.
in
Rap sheet.
2022, yes. And that was all in 1 year, costing near $10 million to the firms over the course of 2022.
Damn.
So one of the members, Arian
Hacker firm.
Kurtaj from Oxford, who is an autistic person, was a key member of the international gang Lapsus. And the judge said that Kurtaj's skills and desire to commit cybercrime meant he remained a high risk to the public. He will remain at a secure hospital for life unless doctors deem him no longer a danger. Doctors deemed Kurtaj unfit to stand trial due to his severe autism, so the jury was asked to determine whether or not he committed the alleged acts not if he did so with criminal intent. A mental health assessment used as part of the sentencing hearing said he continued to express the intent to return to cybercrime as soon as possible. Motivated. The jury was told that while he was on bail for hacking Nvidia and BTEE in a police protection at Travelodge Hotel, he continued hacking and carrying out his most infamous hack. Despite having his laptop confiscated, Kurtaj managed to breach Rockstar, the company behind GTA, using an Amazon Fire Stick, his hotel TV, and mobile phone. This guy's a genius.
Yo, he hacked
He's a genius.
So he hacked into like Rockstar Games. So that's the game company that does Red Dead Redemption,
Grand Theft
Auto, Max Payne. They're the ones that did those games, right? They do the big games, right? So he hacked in and then released the trailer for the new Grand Theft Auto game and released it online with a Fire Stick, a TV, and a cell phone, bro. Not even with a computer.
These are the kind of friends that I would really,
wish I was friends with
really love to
I know. I
have.
want to go break him out of this.
Yo, for real.
And be like, hey,
Listen.
man. He's like, and I'm going to tell him, I'm going to be like, sell me like $50 million, like right now.
Bro.
And then immediately I'm going to transfer that. I'm going to go and withdraw like as much money as I can in Africa. And then I'm just booking it.
No, bro. I'm not going to say what I want to say because what I want to say would be very self-incriminating at this point. So
yeah, I mean, don't
let's just
dry
move on.
snitch on yourself.
But
Just move
you
on.
know the
But
most
these are the
interesting.
kind of friends that I really,
I wish I knew
really
this kid.
want
I wish
to
I knew this
have
kid.
right now.
I wish I knew this kid.
The funniest thing about the whole article to me, though, is that it made it glaringly apparent that in the system that we're in, a hospital is the same thing as a jail.
Yeah, it is. It's a jail.
It's a jail
It is.
where you can sort of like maybe die comfortably.
Exactly.
But it's nothing more than that.
Well, they just can't put the kid in jail
Why not?
because he's autistic.
Autistic, bro.
So what does
Because
that
he's
matter?
like super autistic, basically. That's what they're saying.
Why isn't there a special part of the jail?
For super autistic kids?
Yeah.
It's only because, look, this is what they're going to do with this kid, right? They're going to lock him away in this hospital
Right.
until he's willing to work for the government.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
Exactly.
That's it.
That's
Yeah.
it.
They're just going to be like, are you willing to work
Yeah, like
with
you
us?
want to do it so
Are you willing
bad,
to
we'll
work
give you
for
a
us?
job.
Mhm.
Yeah,
We'll give you a job.
it's true.
And because every company you listed, NVIDIA, that's the company that's responsible for making chips for computers.
Exactly.
Microsoft, Samsung.
Samsung. When I saw that
Bro.
one, I was like, oh.
Bro, you know Samsung has an
Oh.
army.
Samsung has a military, yeah.
They have an army.
They have a
In
military.
a city.
Yeah.
And a
Samsung.
and a
they run-
17-year-old cracked
Yeah.
their system.
An autistic 17-year-old kid.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I'm telling you,
You can't
that's the
sleep
thing.
on them. Exactly.
You cannot sleep on these like hackers. That's why I'm always super nice to people that handle tech. You piss off the wrong person. There are only a few people in the world that you got to be careful with. People handle your food.
All
People
right.
that handle your tech. And people that handle your spirituality. Be very careful.
2 out of 3.
Yeah, be very careful. 2 out of 3. Yeah, be very careful. Like, because, man, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah.
Maybe that movie. That movie.
That's wild.
That Leave the World Behind.
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I'm
it's
like,
it's.
Oh, that's
Bruh.
that new
Playing
Netflix
out.
thing?
yeah, you seen it?
Nah, not yet.
So
You
it's
gotta watch
about, it's crazy, man.
You gotta watch
That's the first movie I've seen in a long time that scared me. Like, I haven't been scared watching a movie in so long, in like maybe 15 years. And that's the first movie, not even 15, maybe like 20 years. And that's the first movie I've seen in a long time that I got scared. And it's because it's about what would happen if they shut down everything technologically. Everything. What would happen? They shut down the banks, the cell phones, the internet. Because I started thinking about it, I'm like, damn, I'm watching this on my phone right now. And then I was like, so you're telling me the Wi-Fi would be out? I'm like, and then I wouldn't be able to watch this? And then I'm like, but then I would try and call somebody. And then I'm like, but I can't call anybody. And then I was like, so then I would try and text somebody. And then I'm like, you can't text nobody.
Not happening, bro.
And then I'm like, and then what if they shut down the electrical system in the car? And then I just started thinking about it and going through it. And I was like, I need to leave this place. I was watching this at like 3 a.m. I was watching this at 3 a.m. I was in my room. I was by myself and I was sitting there and I was like, I'm scared. I'm really scared right now. And then I was like I tried to go back. I like kind of stopped watching it and then tried to turn on, like Star Wars. I was like, just zone out. But then I was like, something in me was like, go back and watch that movie.
Watch it again.
So I went back and I watched it, and I was just like, yeah, this is insane. And the best way I could put it is like the way the guy put it in the movie. He's like, no matter how high or how powerful you think you are in this world, when something like this is about to happen, the only thing you can ask for is a heads up. And I was like, oh my God.
Damn, that was dark.
I was like, I swear to God, I hope that never happens.
Right.
Damn.
It's scary.
But it's a good movie. A lot of people are hating on it because they don't like how it ends. But if you actually are paying attention to what the movie is really talking about, then the ending, you don't even give a fuck about how the movie ends. By the part where the movie is just about to end, you like, however this ends, I don't care because I got the message.
Exactly. I know. I was like, I need to get out of here, man. Well, I need to go to Africa. I need to move back to Medita. I mean, technically, I did move back to Medita, but I got to be here for stuff. But yeah. Next.
Okay. Next up is Kanye. Kanye goes off at his album launch party.
But he went off well.
Rapper Kanye West took time out of his album launch party early Friday morning to make some hot comments about several former business partners, also seizing the moment to make sense of some past comments about the Jewish and make a series of new claims about the Jews. Within the first few minutes, he expresses an anger toward the Jewish community, saying that he doesn't want to hear any of them claiming he's having an episode. A repeated thread in the speech is that Kanye himself is alone in all of his struggles against the powers that be, mainly because when he is fighting for something, whether it be custody of his children or speaking out against those Jewish people controlling the music, banking, medical, and several other industries, none of the people who claim to be with him are following through for the entirety of the fight. He calls out several people during his speech with blatant FU to names like Balenciaga, Gap, Adidas, Mauve Carter, who is the host of the show The Shop, who had Kanye's episode cut because of comments he made about the Jewish community, Sierra Canyon School for being a Zionist organization, and many others.
Damn.
I mean, if you listen to the video and what he was saying, he's spot on with a lot of stuff.
Spot on.
And you got to understand, like, he's somebody that's exposing things from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's in these circles. Mm-hmm. He's like in the upper echelon of these so-called communities, so-called societies that like they tell you don't exist, and then try and confuse you with the concept of conspiracy theories. Mm-hmm. He's in these circles and he's exposing these things. And to the initiated, you understand.
Yeah.
To the uninitiated, you call them crazy. Mm. So, be very careful about who you choose to call crazy, because
it seems like that's the only reason why he's even still alive. It's because they've allowed, or they've convinced enough people to think he's actually
crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, he is. So let me tell a story, right? There's a guy that went and he was dealing with an issue, and he was given he went to see a diviner to get a solution. Mm. And so the man said, in order to solve your situation, what you have to do is you have to take this objects that I'm giving you, right? And you have to go give it to a person that's crazy. And you have to find someone that's crazy and give it to them. So he's on the street trying to find a crazy person. And he notices there's a homeless person on the street. And the homeless person is talking to themselves. And he keeps watching the homeless person go back and forth, talking to themselves, going back and talking to themselves. And the homeless person starts noticing him too. So the homeless person starts watching him, right? And eventually, the homeless person says to the man, "What do you want?" And he says, "Well, I was given this thing and I was told to give it to a crazy person." And he said, "I'm not crazy." He said, "A crazy person is someone that can't control their emotions." And the next thing he knows, he sees someone fighting and can't control their emotions. And he hands it to them. He hands them the object. Now, Kanye is not crazy in that sense. Kanye is crazy because he's having a difficult time controlling his emotions. But he's not crazy based on the things he's exposing.
Right.
Don't think Kanye's crazy. Kanye's having a difficulty controlling his emotions, but he's not. He's just exposing things from the inside based on things that are legitimately going on.
Right.
I'm not saying everything he's saying is true because he's inaccurate about some of the things, but he's spot on about a lot of the things.
Which is a normal phenomenon for someone who's so far steeped in their emotions. Yeah, you probably have a lot of the facts down, but the fact that you are emotional and you're expressing it from that standpoint, you kind of get lost in some of the extracurricular, maybe true, maybe not, probably opinionated things that, you know, are a part of it. So, yeah, man, my guy Kanye, the nigga them still got him a little bit.
The niggas. Next.
Okay. Zuckerberg bunker under development. In 2015, the Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg, one of the richest men on earth, announced that he would be giving away the bulk of his wealth during his lifetime. One of the main goals of his charity, he wrote in a public letter to his daughter, was promoting equality. "Today we are robbed of the potential so many have to offer," he declared. "The only way to achieve our full potential is to channel the talents, ideas, and contributions of every person in the world." Now, in homage to this admirable ideal, Zuckerberg is offering the underprivileged residents of the Hawaiian island of the Kauai the chance to live up to their full potential, to wit, building a lavish, ultra-luxury compound where Mark Zuckerberg can hold up and survive the apocalypse while the hordes of normal people perish. As the journalist...
Leave the world behind!
There you go.
As the journalist Guthrie... oh gosh, these names. Screamagore details in a staggering investigative story for the Wired magazine. Zuckerberg has spent almost a decade buying up land on the island for the construction, now well underway, of a sprawling 1,400-acre compound of mansions, tree houses, and tunnels. The crown jewel of the $270 million project is a 5,000 square feet underground shelter with its own energy and food supplies, and what appears to be a blast-resistant door.
So he's giving people a chance to express their genius by building his compound for him?
No, I think what he's doing, right, he's like, okay.
He's kicking people out.
He's basically like, all right, the natives, y'all gotta move.
Get the fuck out.
I'm about to build this thing, but I'm gonna give you the potential to be everything that you can be. So he's gonna build the compound that makes it look like, okay, I'll let y'all be in here with me. But really, it's like, if it goes down, I'm going into the bunker that's underneath all of it. So realistically, the whole thing is just for him to have a bunker to hide out when shit is going down. But it's like, I'm gonna make the whole compound on top of it to make it look like it's for everybody.
You know, but I don't understand people like that. Maybe, I don't know. I don't understand people like
You don't
this.
understand
Because here's the thing, right?
Mark Zuckerberg?
I'm obviously not gonna understand.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. But if you have this amount of money, right?
I would have done the same shit. If I was Mark Zuckerberg, I'd be like, yeah, y'all niggas can live up above ground with me.
No.
But y'all niggas ain't coming underground or some shit pops off.
But Sen,
All y'all niggas need to get the fuck out of here.
Sen, look, hear me out. He basically built an underground city. It's enough space to fit thousands of people. What the hell are you doing in that by yourself?
Bro.
Wondering for the next 10 years.
Yeah, but he's going to bring who he wants to
facility.
bring. He's not going to bring you.
Yeah.
He's not going to bring us.
Yeah.
We're not invited, bro. Do you know Mark Zuckerberg?
No, I don't.
Okay, if you had an underground bunker, would you be out in the streets? Let's say there's like a there's some shit that's popping off, right? Let's hit you with your logic, right?
No. My logic was based off. No. I thought the story just said he's building it for himself and himself only.
No, but it's
No,
under
bro.
the guise that, like, okay,
It's for him and his.
Him and his. Okay,
it's
that him and
charitable.
his.
It's a charitable
Okay.
act.
Yeah.
Hawaiian underprivileged people.
So it's just what rich people always do. They build a charity and then they get the money from the charity to do what they really want to
There
do.
you go. There you go.
If I'm Mark Zuckerberg and I'm building that, I'm not. None of y'all niggas is coming with me, bro.
I get what you're saying.
I'm bringing me and mine.
I feel you.
Family.
And then even the people that helped me build it, get out.
I feel you.
Like you're gonna do the same thing. Keep it real.
I feel you.
Be like,
That's
y'all Hawaiian niggas need to get out.
see that right there. That's what you just said right there. That's how Americans, or let me say this, the people who the founding fathers who established this, because you know a lot of niggas they always say we built this shit, but it's I heard somebody say one time, it's like, listen, bro, if I paid a contractor to build my house, I'm not expecting that motherfucker to come
stay.
and live in that shit with me. So you can claim you built this shit all you want, motherfucker. They still want you to get out.
That's the best way I've ever heard. I've heard it explained. I heard it. Oh man, that's hilarious. I'm gonna start saying that to people. And they're like, "We built this shit, niggas. A bunch of Mexicans built my house too."
The motherfuckers don't live with me.
Oh man, but Mark Zuckerberg, you know, you're
next.
rich enough. Do what you gotta do, bro. It's your money.
Next.
Yeah. That's the best argument I've heard for why we need to get the fuck out of here in a long time.
Okay, 3D print homes are on the horizon. Tekla 3D is
So, wow,
printed
this is so
homes
weird.
by this company named Tekla, which will be the first
Any
house
dude.
entirely 3D printed using locally sourced clay, a biodegradable and recyclable material which will effectively make the building zero waste. It will be built to adapt to multiple environments, and it will be suitable for the self-production through the use of 3D printing company WASP and its innovative maker Economy Starter Kit, used to make the models for the clay homes. This approach will limit industrial waste and offer a unique, sustainable model that will boost the national and local economy, improving the well-being of communities. Interestingly enough, WASP also unveiled a project they did for a Dior pop-up shop in Namos Beach, Dubai. So the sustainability seems to be sort of playing both sides of the field.
You don't say. Really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say to, the people that are kind of hoping on 3D printing and all that kind of stuff, because, yeah, man, go for it.
It's another money-making business, bro. I find it funny, though, because I think, like, last week people were talking about Earth ships and shit. And I always find it hilarious how people are now starting to come and trying to reinvent what our ancestors have already done.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're trying to make it this new modern way to make it seem glamorous when all you're doing is saying, like, look, clearly what we did ain't working.
Exactly.
What they did back then
It still
works.
Exactly.
So
let's
let's
do it.
just do it, but let's just make it seem more fancy.
Right.
Exactly.
And charge higher for it. It's like earthships, sustainable living, permaculture, all this stuff. It's literally just going back to indigenous ways, and now they're just charging us thousands and millions of dollars just to do it when we were doing it for free.
Exactly.
It's madness. It's retarded. It
Yeah.
don't make no sense.
The funniest thing to me was that they did the pop-up shop for Dior on like a beach in Dubai, and I'm like, okay, but how does that match? How do these ideals match somehow? That doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, like I just even was saying, don't try to reinvent the wheel, man. Just learn how to do that shit with your hands.
Right.
And then you can say you actually like maybe have something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the whole concept of sustainability comes from the aspect of our nature, our ancestors understanding that they didn't want to destroy or remove anything from nature because they have the understanding that there's no empty space within the existence.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you're just trying to do what our ancestors have been doing.
And still continue to do.
Yeah. Next.
Okay. Al-Qaeda showing fear of a united Africa. It's not just the
She
West
said it
that's
like a white
concerned by the
lady.
three revolutions.
Okay.
It's not just the West that's concerned by the three revolutionary governments of Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali joining forces to defend their borders against imperialism and jihadi terrorists. Al-Qaeda is clearly worried too. In a 22-minute video published this week, Iyad Ajgali, the leader of Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, or AQIM, which is an Islamist militant organization that aims to overthrow the Algerian government and institute an Islamic state. In the video, the leader branded the West African country's new military leaders treacherous. He then called for their citizens to join his ranks and fight against them. You could call it a sign of desperation. Since the public supported coups in these nations, Al-Qaeda has been on the back foot, losing swaths of territory, with Mali recently taking the rebel stronghold of Kidal. Coincidentally or not, such success follows the expulsion of French troops from the region by the West African trio, who accused them of backing insurgents. In August 2022, Mali's foreign minister, Abdoulaye Diop, alleged France was providing weapons and intelligence to terrorist groups. In a letter addressed to the United Nations Security Council, he stated, "These flagrant violations of Malian airspace were used by France to collect information for terrorist groups operating in the Sahel and to drop arms and ammunition to them."
Yeah, I mean, this goes back to the aspect of the Arabs trying to destabilize a region to find out where they come from. So, yeah, I would be scared too. If the locals are saying, "Hey, get the fuck out," and are uniting to get you the fuck out, then yeah, I'd be scared too.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because a lot of people, sometimes when I do this research, sometimes I'll be like going on Reddit and seeing what people like really, like people that really do the research are really saying.
Mm-hmm.
And they were saying that if it makes sense to anybody that it wasn't really Al-Qaeda that took down the Twin Towers, it was the people that funded it, right? Then it would automatically make sense that Al-Qaeda has to be in bed with the same people that funded 9/11, so that now, if and when it happens that people are turning on the religious aspect of like whatever they've implemented through their colonialism, now it has to become about something else. Now it's like terrorism and, you know, militias and all this crazy stuff. So I'm like, that is interesting. That now it's gonna be like, oh well, Al-Qaeda is on the back foot because of this one thing, and now they're gonna make it about it's just so interesting the way that it works. It's the same hand every time.
Yeah, just people getting wise to it and finally being like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Next.
NEXT.
So, war in Sudan rages on now, ravaging the city of Wad Madani. Upwards of 300 people have been killed in the city of Wad Madani in the last 5 days, as reported by Preliminary Committee of Sudan's Doctors Trade Union. At least 6 cases of rape have been confirmed in Madani, youngest victim being 13 years old.
Damn.
300,000 people have evacuated Wad Madani from the terrors, with many headed towards Sennar, a city located to the south of Wad Madani. Many fleeing on foot, as RSF blocking all main routes and stopping buses. For many, this is the second time being displaced. RSF is short for Rapid Support Forces, are paramilitary forces formerly operated by the government of Sudan, repeating their classic terror tactics from Khartoum, raiding hospitals, ambulances, houses, cars, and banks.
Yeah, I mean, what's going on is that they're basically, that's the second biggest city in Sudan. So once they destabilize the capital, now they're trying to destabilize the second biggest city. Because the thing is that once you can control, that's like the easiest area based on the destabilized aspect of the governments. So once you can control that region and you get into that region, then you have a stronghold and you have a foothold in Africa. So they're just trying to destabilize that area, get in, and then once they're in, then they're able to, now influence the way things can go. And technically, for those of you that maybe don't understand, to even talk about Sudan, that word Sudan, if we're going to talk about it culturally, it's just the word Suten. So it just gives you an idea as to what that
People
region,
don't know what that word is.
Yeah, people don't. I mean, you guys can explain it, but it just that's what it is. So, in other words, royalty.
Yeah, Sultan it just means like king or kingship or royalty, as he said. And it's funny because when you like research or you understand, even if you just know, or if you're not really necessarily a part of any traditions or any initiations that have the history of those lands, like just researching alone will let you know that like what they're calling Sudan is the areas of whatever they used to call like Nubia or Kush, which is like the birthplace of like the Kemetic civilization. So that area in itself is like kind of like where the royalty or the royals came from, like coming from like the south of the Nile.
Next.
All right. Next on the list, possible direct descendant of the pharaoh Ramses III. Interestingly enough, it was very difficult to find an article on this video, but back in April, I-24 News broadcasted an interview with Dexter Caffey, founder of Smart Eye Technology, an app available on Apple and Android that helps you easily protect your documents and files from unauthorized viewers by using our biometric security platform. The features included in the platform are iris, facial, fingerprint, behavioral print, and voice recognition. The sender can specify which biometric the receiver must use before the document opens up and the person receives it. Dexter says that he was questioning his identity, so he sent a DNA sample to 23andMe and received some astounding results explaining how he was the direct descendant of Pharaoh Ramses III. He then found photos online that he said looked like himself and his brother Joe. He also drew the parallel, saying that his company Smart Eye Technology has a logo that uses a depiction of an eye, is yet another resemblance of himself to his supposed ancestor.
So how did they have the DNA of Ramses III?
His mummy.
Huh?
They dug up his mummy.
They
and they
dug
did
up
all
his
kind of.
mummy?
Yeah, you never saw that.
Scrape a little bit off.
You never saw that experiment. So there's this. I don't remember his
Bro,
name.
do I look like I keep up with that kind of stuff?
Anyway. So I don't remember the guy's
You're
name.
always asking
but
me
I think
these
he's an
things.
Arab. He's an Arab guy from Egypt. So he's supposed to be like some Egyptologist, whatever. So they dug
You
up
don't
Ramses' body, right? And they took DNA samples from like the skin and the bones and all that. And because for a long time, for many years, they had the propaganda of like the pharaohs being like either white Europeans or Arabs or something, which is highly strange. The actual true DNA results and melanin content came back as being very similar or basically the same to like all of the people in sub-Saharan Africa. So that kind of made that guy very upset. So that's how they got Ramses' DNA samples, and now this guy's claiming to be a relative of
Is he white?
the guy. No, he's a black guy.
Oh, he's a black dude.
Yeah, he's a black dude.
Okay, well, good for you, bro. If you are the descendant of Ramses III, you know, more power to you. Hopefully you can reclaim your father's your ancestors' legacy.
Link up with old boy that think he King Tut.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude with the feather.
Yeah, the dude with the feather from the International African
We should
Arts
get that
Festival.
guy on.
Well, yeah, they said we can't come back. Oh, fuck them niggas.
Have fun.
Yeah, have fun. Yeah, exactly. Like, what are you talking about? We have so many better things to do, so we appreciate you not having us back.
Did you see that guy's list of demands?
Who?
The guy
King
with the
Tut
feather.
guy?
Yeah, King Tut.
No.
Remember, I showed you in my DMs he was writing me all that stuff.
Yeah.
He has a
Yeah.
list of demands for him to come on the podcast.
Yeah, whatever. Go fuck yourself.
What?
We don't have to go find. That's like a
Yo,
genuinely.
he's hilarious.
Like that's like a genuinely like mentally sick person. Like we don't need you.
He called me Slim Knowledge.
I called you what?
Slim Knowledge.
Slim knowledge.
I think it was hitting on you.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Your nickname.
So, it's been another episode of the Gator Gates podcast. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. There's so many different things you guys can do to get involved, and we hope you do them, and we hope you do it. And, we will get back with you guys next week. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. We hope you guys continue to tune in. We hope you guys continue to, partake.
Yeah,
And
there's another part of the
oh, I'm sorry. I thought there was another one. I thought that was the last one.
no, that
It was the last
Oh, I'm
one.
sorry, go
There's
ahead.
a little proverb though for the
Oh,
end
I'm
of
sorry.
the.
Go ahead. Yeah, I thought you said this is the last one.
My
it was the
mistake.
last rapid fire topic.
Yeah,
Oh, you gotta tell me that the show's not over. I thought we were done.
my mistake.
Oh, that's why you were like, oh god. I was like, oh, I thought you were just doing that because you were like, how do I end the show?
Right.
Okay, yeah. I'm so sorry. I didn't know that was it. Now that we. But okay, yeah, go ahead.
Excuse me. So, proverb to close out the episode. Whoever acknowledges yesterday will have a bright future. The one who doesn't know yesterday or acknowledge it, it will be the one who to stay yesterday.
Can you read it one more time?
Yeah, read it one more time, all the way through, please.
Whoever acknowledges yesterday will have a bright future. The one who doesn't know yesterday or acknowledge it will be the one to stay in yesterday.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's right on time.
Yeah, and it's almost like paradoxical. I know for people who don't understand it, it will be like paradoxical because how would that make you the one that stays in yesterday if you don't even acknowledge it? But it makes perfect sense because it's you that won't be able to access your future because you don't know what's behind you.
And that's even to close out the topic perfectly.
Nigga money.
Niggas. This one's for the niggas. It's been another episode of the Gator Gates podcast. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. We hope you guys continue to tune in, and we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.
Idiot.
Dear.
Yeah.